reading a book. Page 76. He would have reached the motorway and he would ask Ike South. He had no doubt that Miss DeVille would call the police. But the further away he managed to get, the harder it would be for them to find him. Once he reached London, he would be safe, but he needed cash. Money was the difference between survival and constant danger. He would have to buy food. He'd need to find a room. There must be money in the house. He would find it and steal it now. He began in the kitchen, no longer caring how much noise he made. He riffled through the drawers and cupboards, opened jars and boxes, trying to work out where Miss DeVille kept her housekeeping funds. He could still hear the whispering through it was more intimate now. Was it coming to an end? Was it coming to an end? He glanced at his watch. 1:15. He moved more quickly, afraid that the woman could return at any time. There was no money in the room. He looked for a handbag. A handbag would mean cash and possibly credit cards. But she must have taken it with her. He tried the living room. Now the portrait seemed to watch angrier as he searched, looking behind the books and under the chairs, in the hope that Miss DeVille might have tucked her purse away. Matt hadn't turned on the lights. Noah might still be in the barn, and he was afraid of giving himself away. He was crossing over to look around the fireplace when something screamed at him, sending back his heart pounding. It was as someone's Miss Duvall's cat had been asleep on one of the chairs, but now it was standing. As it electrocuted its fur, bristling its eyes ablaze. It opened its mouth and hissed, revealing a set of white fangs. Matt stood still. The cat was going to attack him. He was sure of it. It was already balancing itself, the claws of its two front paws ripping at the material, retracting what it was going to do to his face. Matt looked around. There was a poker next to the fire, a heavy antique thing. He thought of snatching it up, but wasn't sure he could bring himself to use it. The cat's tail whipped briefly. Its eyes had never left him. He had dread to abuse Miss DeVille's hospital, and now he was going to pay. The cat hissed a second time and leaped. Matt was all ready for it. There was a large basket beside the beside the poker. Normally it would contain logs, but for once it was empty. Matt grabbed it and threw it down over the cat, even as it fell, even as it left the chair. He heard a terrible screaming and yowling, felt the claws battering desperately at the straw cage. Matt slammed the basket down onto the chair, impersonating the cat inside, holding the basket with one hand. He reached out with the other. Miss Doolittle had an old-fashioned sewing machine, which was on the floor beside the chair. Using all his strength, Matt picked it up and dropped it on top of the basket. The door creaked. The cat hurled itself against the side, but the basket held. A storm mattress wasn't going anywhere. Matt straightened up. He was trembling from the shock of what had just happened, and he was suddenly aware of something else. There was no sound coming from the wood. The whispering had stopped. So far he had found nothing, and he was running out of time. There was just one room left. He went back upstairs and into Miss Devil's bedroom. Surely he would find money here. He opened the wardrobe. Miss Devil's clothes hovered into the darkness, suspended from wire hangers, with her shoes underneath. Matt was about to close the door when he noticed a cardboard box in the back corner. He leant down and opened it. There was something inside, not money, photographs. He took one of them out and found himself looking at a cemetery. The photograph was black and white, taken with a telephoto lens. There was a crowd of people dressed in the usual sombre clothes, and in the middle of them a boy who was 8 years old. Matt recognized him instantly and felt a surge of horror and sickness. He was looking at a picture of himself. This was his parents' funeral 6 years ago, but it was impossible. Nobody had taken any photographs, and even if a journalist or someone had been there, what was this picture doing here? How did Miss Devil got hold of it? There was 2 sheets of paper attached to the photograph by a clip. Matt slipped them loose, then turned them around so he could read them. An official police report. Each page was marked confidential in a red letter. In the half light, Matt tried to concrete on the words. And the witness's statement of Miss Rosemary Green in relative to this case. I'm reading that one. This case is not to be released, and we recommended a complete media blackout. The child, Matthew Freeman, is only 8 years old and is demonstrated predictive abilities, which would seem to be in beyond prospective abilities. Matt didn't want to put the words into simple English, nor did he want to read any more of the report. In the second he made his decision, he thrust the box back into the corner, closed the wardrobe doors, and left in the living room. The portrait watched slightly as Modius slammed itself again and again against the side of the basket, trying to escape. Matt didn't notice either of them. He threw open the door and ran across the yard. He didn't find any money, but he would just have to do without it. It was definitely time to leave. It took Matt just a few minutes to cycle up to the crossroads. The night had grown colder, and his breath frosted as he paused by the broken sign, taking his bearings. He had a chance of 5 country lanes, each one cutting through the pedalled forward again. Pedalled forward again. He was beginning to wish he had waited until the morning. No, he would have been set to work on the farm, and between them, Noah and Miss Devils always had him in their sight. He concrete on his rhyme, left foot, then right foot, listening to the bicycle chain as he ground and creaked underneath. The trees, rolled by endlessly. About another 20 minutes passed. Matt was strong and he was fit again. After his illness, there was a dull ache in his legs, but otherwise he was fine. The road turned a corner. He stopped. He was back at the crossroads. It was impossible. The lanes he had been following had run straight, and he must have covered at least 2 miles. He gazed at the broken signpost with disbelief. It was the same signpost. There could be no doubt of it. Now he was angry for this to happen. Once was uniform, but twice it was stupid. He jerked the bike around and set off down the 5th lane. The one furthest away he cycled more quickly this time, using his anger to lend himself straight. The night breeze rushed over his shoulders, cooling the sweat on one side. Remember that was said. On his head, a cloud covered the moon, and suddenly everything was very dark. But Matt didn't show down the cloud separate, and he lunged to a halt, unable to believe what was happening. The 5th lane had somewhere become the 1st lane. They had looked him back to the start. The broken signpost stood there, mocking him. Very well, he set off by the way he had come, passing eyeball. This lane had to go somewhere different. He cycled past the gate as quickly as he could. There was no light visible at the end of the drive, so maybe Miss Devil wasn't back yet. After all, the lane climbed steeply uphill, but that was good. That hill was something different. None of the other lanes had gone up or down. Matt no longer really cared where he was going. He just wanted to find a man. He just wanted to find a main road he was fed up with. The wood fed up with country lanes. He reached the top of the hill and stopped for the first time. He was really afraid. He had been cycling for the past part of an hour, yet he still hadn't found a way out. He was back at the crossroads where he had begun. Matt was breathing heavily. His hands were clutching the handlebars so hard that the blood couldn't reach his fingers. He stopped there for a moment, considering his options. He didn't really have any either. The right was playing tricks on him, or something was happening that he didn't understand. But but now but now he but now he know that he wouldn't get anywhere, even if he cycled all night. He wouldn't he would just have to take his chance with this devil rule. He turned the bike around and pedalled slowly back to the farm. I'll just read these two pages I've finished. He was in, this is Omega 1. He was in my room last night. Miss Devil said she was talking on the telephone. The receiver was old-fashioned and heavy, made of black, black light. A thick wire coiled out of her hand. I think he found the photographs. It was a mistake keeping them there, perhaps, but there's something else I'm worried about. Matthews is stronger than he was when he first come here. I think he may be starting to work things out. I don't like ever, I don't like having him here. If you ask me, where we've got a tiger by the tail, we should deal with him before it's too late. It was a man's voice at the other end of the phone. He spoke in a way that was very cold and desperate. He had an ele- ede- um, addicted voice. Perhaps he was headmaster in an expensive private school. Expensive private school. What do you mean? He demand lock him up. There's a crate in the church. We could put him in there underground somewhere nobody would find him. It's only for a few more weeks and then we'll be done with him. No, the single word was final right now. Now the boy The boy thinks he's original. He was no idea of what he is. Bury him alive, and you could actually help him discover himself. And what happened if the police is social worker come calling out? Will you explain where he is? Supposedly he escapes. He can't escape. We have him contained there. There's nothing he can do, and very soon we'll be all ready for him. All you have to do is watch him where he is now. Where is he now? I don't know. I don't know. In the yard. Don't know, somewhere in the yard. Watch him, Miss Deverell. Don't let him out of your sight. There was a click and the lines went dead. Miss Deverell weighed the phone in one hand, then lowered as summarily she called. The cat sitting on the arm of a chair on the other side of the room opened one eye and looked at her. You heard that's what he said. She snapped the boy. She slapped. She snapped the boy. The cat leaped off the chair with no effect. It sprung up onto a windowsill and then out of the window. Outside, Noah walked past, pushing a wheelbarrow piled high with manure. The cat ran past him and continued up the lane. A moment later it had disappeared from sight. A man stood at the edge of a wood, looking down. A tunnel of trees. The bicycle lay on its side on a grassy verge beside the road. 5 minutes had passed since he had slipped past Noah and made his way out of Ives Hall, but he still couldn't make. That was subscribe, hit the bell, share, like, thank you. Click on my screen. What's my videos? If you want to see my live me reading, just type it in the search bar on YouTube. Just type live stream me reading. Type in the search bar on YouTube. It should come up. Thank you.